Welcome to Active Sports TV. You're now tuned in with your host, Active. Boxing fans, what a time it is to be a boxing fan. Salute Turkey All the Sheep, putting on another mega card, the Ring Folk. Ring Magazine, Riyadh season, over in Saudi Arabia, that is. We got the highly anticipated welterweight showdown between these young, up-and-coming phenoms in the sport, Devin Haney and Brian Norman Jr. This one is a 50-50 fight. I'm telling you, it's the most anticipated fight on the fight card. It even upscaled the main event. This one right here, I got a feeling we got to get there early for this one, bro. It may not go 12. I don't think it's going 12. But we're going to give you a thorough preview breakdown and also give you my prediction. So boxing fans, go ahead, pull up a chair, chill out, rock out with your boy Active. Let's go ahead and kill the music. Welcome again to Active Sports TV. All the subscribers holding down the channel, new viewers tuning in today. Thank you. You are appreciated. You keep me motivated to keep delivering this boxing heat in these YouTube streets. And man, we got smoke in the city. Yeah, it's going down. Like they used to say back in the days, it's going down, it's going down, it's going down. There's smoke in the city. Fathers involved, camps is getting hostile. It's what everything about boxing that makes it great. I mean, this fight here is what make boxing fans get to the TV early. Devin Haney, now known as Dev, going ahead taking on all the toughest challenges. Say what you want about Devin Haney. You know, everybody trying to clown Devin Haney behind the Ryan Garcia fight. When we all know how that went, we're going to spend a little bit more time on that segment a little furthermore in this episode. But they ain't giving Dev his proper respect, man. This is the Mr. Youngest undisputed in the sport today. Devin Haney, that has done a lot in his short time in the sport game, not turning down anything, doing what real boxing fans want their fighters to do, which is taking on all challenges, going against adversity, and, you know, showing out, stepping up, and getting the job done in whatever fashion need to. Devin Haney does that. Now, the antics, his pops, you know what I mean? Which I don't really have no problem with Bill Haney, you know what I mean? I think Bill Haney is very much needed in the sports of boxing. He got to get the gap, you know, he be out here selling these fights, you know what I mean? Selling his son, promoting his son. And who don't overly believe in their children, try to bring the best out of their children. So I ain't never gonna knock a father for being a stand-up father. You know what I mean? But Brian Norman Jr., Brian Norman Sr., they ain't on that type of time. These dudes, you know, coming out of Atlanta, you know what I mean? Country boys, you know what I mean? Getting it out the dirt. Brian Norman Jr., now welterweight champion, was the underdog in pretty much his up and coming fights. A lot of people thought Centennial was going to be the one that, you know, knocked Brian Norman off. Quentin Randall, you know what I mean? He had some adversity and he stepped up and showed out, man. In the Centennial fight, I mean, devastating knockout. Almost as worse as Ashaki to me. I mean, this man right here turned into a complete assassin. One of the most dangerous men in the sport, Brian Norman Jr. But we got to get into the tails of the tape. We got to give you a full, thorough breakdown of both fighters, man. Give you a preview, and then I'll go furthermore into my opinion. If you haven't already, hit that thumbs up button, hit the subscribe button, because you already should be where we keep it lit in these boxing streets. So go ahead, sit back, let your boy take off. We got the great Devin Haney, 27 years of age, 32 bouts, no losses. Let me say that clearly. No losses. I don't want to hear nothing about no Ryan Garcia. I'm going to cook him in a second. 15 knockouts, undefeated, youngest undisputed champion in the sport today, standing at 5'9", also with a 71 reach, an orthodox fighter, and has an under 50% KO percentage. Then we got Brian Norman, the young Brian Norman. They said, I believe Brian Norman is turning 25. He'll be the youngest fighter that Devin Haney, I think, has actually fought. Young Devin normally been the younger fighter, fighting like the Lomachinkos, and doing this thing outside of Ryan Garcia, of course. But Devin has always been, fighting these older fighters, Linares, so on and so forth. But 25 years of age, Brian Norman, 28 fights, 22 of them coming by way of knockouts, no defeats. This man right here gets you in and get you out. In and out burger. You know what I mean? Serve you up quick. He's something vicious. Man. Ashaki? Satil? Them knockouts right there, scary. Standing at 5'8", 72-inch reach, orthodox fighter itself with a damn near 80% knockout percentage on his career. So that's the tale to the tape as far as what assets these fighters have, their resume. Devin Haney clearly having, just maybe the slight height advantage. Norman comes in with a slight reach advantage. Both of these guys are, the same type fighter, orthodox fighters. Devin Haney coming in with a much, much lower knockout percentage as opposed to Brian Norman. So that may be the equalizer in this fight. We know that Devin Haney has a great boxing pedigree. One of the more, athletic, skillful fighters in the sport in general. But now moving to the welterweight division for the very first time, after fighting for the very first time at 144 pounds of catch weight, not having a real good performance of laying the egg, really giving people reason to doubt Devin Haney and come at him a certain type of way after they say that he's been, scarred and damaged from that, cheater, Ryan Garcia, who happened to, damage Devin Haney into a no contest bout. And then in the Jose Ramirez fight, he looked tentative. He didn't have a great output. It looked like he was just there to, not be in any type of trouble and just do what needed to be done to win the fight. But it was a lot of ring around the rosy action. And boxing fans, even myself, was highly, highly disappointed in Devin Haney's return against Jose Ramirez. But not to be not be mentioned, I've never seen Devin Haney fight a fight like that, where he completely was on the defense throughout the whole 12 rounds, never made adjustments. We've seen Devin Haney in the Regis fight, step up and step on the gas and put some hurting down, letting Regis know he was the bigger man and, he was going to be up in there delivering the pain. Also, someone that has felt Devin Haney's power and, what I believe up until this point was Devin Haney's best outing is the George Kambosos fight when he went over there overseas and Mr. Take Your Belt had, put on a wonderful display of courage, you know what I mean, in and out fighting, being the lead man, staying first on that jab, busting up George Kambosos. It was a wonderful, wonderful turnout for Devin Haney. We're going to need all of that against that assassin, Brian Norman Jr. So just speaking on a few of the previous opponents, we know when it comes to the competition It really is none when it comes to resumes. Brian Norman Jr., a welterweight champion in his own right, done it in fantastic fashion, um, knocking out the Japan fighter Asaki in fantastic fashion. Put the boy completely out. He was in a coma, like Bill said. I was scared. I thought it was stretcher activity about to take place, but Osaki got up, you know what I mean? And blessings to him, hoping good things, him a great recovery, because that was vicious. That was vicious. Centennial, also the guy that Brian Norman Jr. won the title from, in San Diego, knocked him out in the same fashion when he was the underdog. Not These fighters are not too known to the boxing public, but dangerous fighters, champions in their own right. We know Devin Haney has been fighting the likes of, George Kambosos twice, beating him twice. We know that he fought Lomachenko in back and forth action that I clearly believe that he won. And, leading toward that Lomachenko fight, one of the key factors that I want to mention in his Brian Norman Devin Haney fight, if Devin Haney does not display the same body work that he distributed against Lomachenko in this up and coming bout between him and Brian Norman, I think it's doomsday for Devin. You know what I mean? Now, this is not to say that's my prediction. I'm gonna give it, I break down a couple more segments in this episode. But one of the key factors for Dev is he has to find a way to slow down Brian Norman Jr. He has to be able to take some of that power off, and in doing so, if he can get off on Brian Norman, stab that body, catching coming in with sharp uppercuts, to his midsection, doing some great exchanges within, the clutch, and then also wrapping up Brian Norman Jr., not running, but, staying in the pocket, being able to pick off shots and go up and down. If he's able to do that, I see great success, and I see with Brian Norman Jr. inexperience against the high elite caliber fighters such as Devin Haney, and not having that experience against other fighters like on the caliber of Devin Haney, he can get frustrated, overexert himself, and probably put himself in the trick bag. So that's what I'm banking on. I'm hoping that Devin Haney is that, highly has a high IQ in that ring that can pull it off. And also the fear factor, you know what I mean? I hope that he isn't traumatized. I hope that, from that beating he took from Ryan Garcia, even though it was illegal, it was a beating within itself. And you take that type of punishment, it definitely takes time off your career. It definitely can alter your mind, your psyche. So it's a lot of unanswered questions for Devin Haney. Plus, the haters and the boo birds is right there waiting for Devin downfall. So it almost seems like Devin Haney has everything to lose and, can only win. You know what I mean? And by destroying Brian Norman and making these people believers. Myself, I rock with Devin. And like I said, this one should be one of the best fights of the year. We definitely know this is the best fight card put together, but we, yet to be proven. I'm banking on this one right here being probably the fight of the year. Brian Norman Jr., key factors: step on the gas early, get Devin Haney to respect that power, get him to have that fear. Also be, skillful. You have to deal with Devin's jab. You have to cut off the ring, make Devin a half, cut off the ring so it can be you guys fighting in the center of the ring. I feel like in the center, Devin Haney may still have the advantage, but in the pocket, Brian Norman definitely does. If they get into exchanges, which I don't recommend Devin Haney does, Brian Norman definitely has the advantage. I see it ending bad, seeing how it went with Ryan Garcia in those exchanges. We know Devin Haney has a habit of dropping that hand, being vulnerable for the left hook. And we know Brian Norman is an assassin, and that is his key punch and putting his opponents to sleep. So, all that being said, this one right here is the one that you cannot miss on the Ring 4 card. And given my prediction, taking everything into account, you know, Devin Haney is highly disrespected, man. I mean, we you got to go with the man that's proven, and before we just go ahead and jump on a bandwagon of a guy who's putting on excellent performances, but have not done it against the caliber of fighters. He hasn't done it for a longevity of time like Devin Haney has. Devin Haney is 10 years running, going against, going overseas, taking unificate, unifying titles, becoming the youngest undisputed champion, fighting one of the best in the division at the time in Lomachenko. Regis, highly feared at 140, was dominated. All of those are key factors for Dev and his skills and his abilities to, adapt, make adjustments. You got to give him an edge. I mean, not a hell of an edge, but he definitely, in my opinion, my prediction, I believe can pull. He has more ways to win this fight than Brian Norman Jr. does. Now, not taking Brian Norman lightly, I believe he can be upset Devin, and he has the highest potential to upset Devin Haney. This is not me just saying like it's going to be a wash. I don't believe that Brian Norman has a chance. I absolutely do. I believe if Devin Haney slip up in any way in this fight, it's ending early. You know what I mean? So it goes. I don't even know if this go 12 because based upon what Devin has to do to win the fans over, I don't know if that's going to be smart for him, and that could end the night early. Just he told him to bring some pajamas. Brian Norman Jr. told him to bring some pajamas. I don't want to see Dev in the ring needing a pillow, man. I just don't. But we rocking with Dev. You know what I mean? The proven youngest undisputed champion ever. You know what I mean? Debo Dev. But that country boy, he getting it out the mud. You know what I mean? He been putting people in the mud. So I'm not taking Brian Norman Jr. nightly. He got to make me a believer. I cannot, just afford him, my just give him the all right favor because he has a couple of great showings. That's just not how boxing works. Now, I got some audio, man. We're going to go ahead and hear from the fighters as this fight approached. They had the opening media workouts, also final press conference. We've been having both teams overseas, having a lot of back and forth action between Team Haney and Brian Norman Jr. It's what the sport need. I like it. I love that the fathers has taken it over so that the fighters can focus. Even though I like to hear the fighters go back and forth as well, that to me, all of it sells the fight. You know what I mean? These guys have been respectable, but also standing on business, letting they be known we ain't friends around here. And I'm coming for you and you coming for me. And as a boxing fan, what more can you ask for? You did. So shout out to Bill, shout out to Brian Sr., doing their thing, and shout out to the fighters. And once again, Turkey All the Sheep putting on this mega card. You got Abdullah Mason, man. You got Jesse Bam Bam Rodriguez. You got Devin Haney, Brian Norman Jr., David Benavidez, Anthony Yard. Stop it, bro. If you ain't on Riyadh Ring Magazine, you duck it. You ain't with the smoke. You're not a real fighter. You're not throwback. That's just what it is. You feel me? We call it how we supposed to call it over here on Active Sports TV. Now, Let me get the audio ready for y'all. We're gonna go ahead and hear from Brian Norman. It's ready for you.
Interesting for you on Saturday, but I understand you had a few words with him yesterday. Would you like to share with us? One more time. Yesterday you had a few words with Devin. No, you had no words. Oh, they had no words. I didn't talk to him. You said I talked to him? No, like you had words for him. Oh yeah, by that action, boss. On Saturday we on it. And confidence, but yet you're exposing your title. You're here in Riyadh, completely different experience. How has it been for you? This is what I'm accustomed to. This is who I am. I'm the real definition of a world champion. I go any and everywhere, and I will step my flag. My name is the Assassin for a reason. Once I sign that contract, it's like that. So I recall that you said, based.
Pause. This man in Killer Instinct mode. Brian Norman Jr., bro, listen, the way he carrying himself, that has to be mentioned also in this video. I don't like the nervous activity coming out of Haney's camp. This is the first time I seen Bill really kind of shaking, bro. And all of the back and forth, fumbling of words, giving a lot of praise, Brian Norman, man. Almost seeming worried in his words for Devin Haney. I must say, a lot of boxing fans is putting that out there. When they had this press conference, man, they had the face off. It didn't look good. Devin was all jittery, moving back and forth, saying and copying Floyd. A lot of stuff, a lot of, red flags for, me, myself, as a boxing fan. I'm like, Dev, like, this man here is coming to take your head. And then you hear it in his approach and his demeanor, man. Brian Norman ain't playing no games. Like I said, this man got action. He got action.
The video that you had a promise for him on Saturday, because you are the solid 147. You are the hardest hitter. So was there something that you said? I'm just hitting you on because there was something interesting you said that you were gonna knock him out. There you go. So that's the promise. Most definitely. I ain't trying to see no 12 rounds. I don't trust no judges at all. God gave me the power to judge myself, so I'm going out there and use it. There we go. We look forward to seeing you on Saturday. Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Yeah, Brian Norman Jr., he about that KO action. You know what I mean? You see, he was trying to get him to say something, but man, he in full fight mode. You know what I mean? He been saying what he's been saying. One thing I want to take away from that is that he keep mentioning the knockout. He keep mentioning the knockout. That can be his downfall. When you just gun hope and all you thinking about is KOing your opponent, you got to understand this is a different caliber elite athlete. I mean, decorated champion, bro. Like, you ain't gonna be able to knock everybody out that you get in the ring. What's the plan B? You know what I mean? We never seen Brian Norman's plan B. We never seen Brian Norman go 12 rounds. He's only win 10 rounds twice. So with that being said, I love the delivery. I love the demeanor, but still in all, you don't have to put it out to the public, but you got to have a plan B. We'll see on Saturday, November 22nd, what that plan B is. But if he don't, Dev got this in the bag. Now, we're going to go ahead and it's a little exchange. Shout out to Fight Hub that's giving us this audio once again. A little exchange between Team Haney and Brian Norman's junior camp. Let's go ahead and check this out. This that nervous activity. You got Devin Haney's brother and a member of Haney's camp going and exchanging with Brian Norman Sr. and I believe Brian Norman's brother, saying like, y'all need to calm it down. Devin Haney's brother saying they don't want to put no money on it. You got the Normans thumbing down, saying they talking too much. Team Haney talking real spicy, as you hear, talking very, very spicy. You know, they brought a lot of people to Saudi. I must say, they brought a lot of people to Saudi. The ring four, man. But both teams are engaged. You know, this is what makes it exciting, man. This is what makes it exciting. You know, you got Camp saying that, you know, you better enjoy your money. Team Haney saying enjoy that money. This is the last time you're gonna have this opportunity. You got Brian Norman in them saying, man, you're talking too much. You know, the fight already sold. Your boy showing nervous activity. He going to bed. You know, it's a lot in this bout, man, and I'm loving it. So we're gonna go ahead and move on to Devin Haney and what he has to say in his upcoming bout.
How about this weight? How is this working for you? You look nice, healthy. How is this working for you right now? Is that where we expect nice, healthy, solid on Saturday? How is this going to make a difference for your performance?
Just a pause and add to that, man. I love that he mentioned it. You know, saying that he's always been fighting at the worst of his abilities. I believe that to be true. Devin Haney had big frame going down to 135 so long. 140, you know, he still was too big for that division. And now getting to the welterweight division, yet to see if it's going to work in his advantage or not. This is his first fight, but hopefully we can finally see something we have not seen from Devin Haney, which is some extraordinary power that had been lackluster and what makes myself hesitant in this fight, because if I don't, he got to find a way to get Brian Norman to respect his power. And if he cannot just suddenly Henny, you know, with the combination, or he just don't have that power to get that respect. I believe if he start at the body and he works on it over a time period, Brian Norman will eventually respect that. But we don't know. This may be Debo Dev coming up in here, you know what I mean? Seeing it, showing us some unseen power. And, you know, maybe being at the best David Haney that he can possibly be. And he will need to beat all of that against Brian Norman Jr. I'm looking forward to this one. I'm looking forward to this.
Just between you and I, you know, we're not just talking about you making 147. We're also talking about Norman Jr. making 147. He's already there. He's got a lot more experience there. He's also hitting you at a solid welterweight. How do you think you're going to assimilate that? We look forward to it. Thank you so much.
And that'll be the last audio of this segment, man. Shout out to both fighters, man. Shout out to Fight Hub once again providing the audio on here, man. This should be a fantastic event. You know, you got my prediction, my breakdown, the tails of the tape. Now it's just both fighters got to show up. Both fighters got to show out. Boxing fans, we in for a treat. Once again, shout out to everybody involved. Ring Magazine, Turkey Out of Sheet, Top Rank, Queensberry, the whole nine. Boxing is back in a real way. And your boy Active, we're out of here. You know the motto, stay activated at all times, man. Until next time, man. Family first. We up out of here.